Hello and welcome to my studio. It's Michael Watts here. Now you may be forgiven for imagining that the fact that my glasses are misting up is because it's one of those muggy, slightly sticky days that we get in the UK. I think there's a thunderstorm coming, but it's not that at all. It is proximity to the sheer acoustic juggernaut that is Mr. Andy Mckee, and is right here with me in my studio today. Andy, welcome.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, it's good to be here, man.
It's really good to have you here. I've been looking forward to this so much. As you can see, I've been busy. Things have changed. I've had a bit of a redecorate. Sometimes it's nice,
like
isn't it?
Gold, yeah.
It's good.
It's lovely.
Yeah, so bit of a different background. I wanted to shush things up a little bit. And what better way to start it than with one of my favourite people, but also, let's face it, one of the most important and inspiring and influential acoustic guitarists on the scene today. And Andy, as I said, this has been a long time coming. Thank you so much for visiting.
Oh,
it's a real pleasure to have you here. And this is the first in a series of sound-like videos that I have planned. Now, there's a lot of this about. I'm not pretending it's original from that point of view. This is not a rig rundown kind of idea. It's more a case of, you know, a lot of videos will say you can sound like this player by doing this and that. I'm more interested in what goes on in the background, what it takes for Andy Mckee to sound like Andy Mckee on any given day. And the first part of that, inevitably, has to be early influences.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, I started out really into the electric guitar. That was my main thing. You know, when I was early teens, I was really into hard rock and heavy metal, you know, and got into Iron Maiden at a pretty young age, and then Metallica and stuff like that. But I didn't think about playing guitar until I had moved back to Kansas from New Mexico when I was 12 years old, and they had this guitar class in the middle school I was going to, and I thought that sounds incredible. I didn't know that was even possible, so I was like, yeah, let's sign up for that. And, you know, they started me out learning, you know, on a nylon string, just kind of basic, you know, melodies and stuff. But with some friends I met there, we started a band and all that, and we played electric guitar and things for quite a while. But even early on, my first guitar, though, was a nylon string guitar that my dad had got for me. So, you know, I was trying to play Metallica on this thing, and, you know, I learned that at the time they had a couple of kind of finger-picking things on their album, the Black Album, so like Unforgiven and, you know, Nothing Else Matters, like, so those were kind of some finger-picking things that I thought, well, I could try that at least on this guitar, you know, I don't have an electric guitar yet, so it started with that, you know, and just kind of even getting used to using my fingers to play. Yeah, I saw Preston Reed when I was 16 years old, and I had this cousin that took me to go see him, and, you know, neither of us were particularly huge acoustic guitar guys, but he said, let's go check this guy out, and that was the initial catalyst for me to, you know, check out the acoustic.
It's fully understandable. I mean,
yeah,
Preston is a massive influence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, okay, so maybe I could play you a little bit of like.
Yes, please.
So, you know, I wanted to figure out what he was doing, and he was, you know, playing tunes like Tribes. And so seeing that as a huge, like, Metallica, Pantera, Dream Theater fan, I was shook. You know, I had no idea what that was. You know, like, especially just seeing that, I was like, "What? It's a harmonic, but he's just slapping it, and you know, it's got this percussive sound as well as the beautiful ringing harmonics, all the drum playing over the top of the neck. You know, I just had my mind utterly blown. I tried to go home that night, you know, and try to emulate what he was doing, but, you know, I didn't know anything about altered tuning, so I was in standard tuning trying to do stuff.
That was fun.
It was just a mess, you know, nothing at all happening. So I kind of put it on the shelf. I was like, you know, I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. But then I started to teach guitar lessons when I was 17, and in this guitar store they had an instructional VHS cassette of Preston Reed, and I was like, that's going to help me figure this stuff out. I got to get that. So I think he taught how to play 3 or 4 tunes on there, and so I started to pick up, you know, the techniques and stuff that he was into, and started to learn the rest of his tunes from the album. And so he was my first guy to get me into the world of acoustic, you know. And really, like, the beginning of that song, Tribes, is a direct influence for drifting, because the way Tribes begins is like, you know, and drifting it's totally inspired by that. So yeah, so Preston is really just always been a huge influence for me. But I don't have a ton of tunes really where I do the percussive thing and play over the top of the neck, but you know, particularly that viral video for drifting, a lot of people know me from that, so that was really inspired by Preston. And another tune of mine, Hunter's Moon, is really inspired by his playing. So
yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, all the, you know, the thing with Hunter's Moon, you know, since people did kind of know me as doing percussive guitar stuff, I was like, well, you know, maybe I should at least have another one of those.
Might as well.
Yeah, get another one of these out there. So, yeah, wanted to kind of get some of that. So on. But yeah, so you know, with those, that kind of playing, one thing that can be tricky is trying to get like some melodic ideas out sometimes, because you got your hand over the top of the neck and you're maybe hitting up here for some percussive elements. And so, you know, trying to work in a melody for that tune in particular, I decided to go with these little harmonics. So that's what all those are. And with this tuning, you've got pretty much a different note on each string, and so you got a lot of harmonic options to create a melody. But yeah. So
cool.
The same cousin that took me to go see Preston Reed, he was a bit of a collector, and so he had amassed like 300 guitar magazines or so from the 80s, and all kinds, Guitar Player, Guitar for the Practicing Musician, Guitar World, Frets. And so he gave them to me, and I had all these boxes in my closet of all these guitar magazines, and I was really getting into the acoustic thing, and I stumbled upon a Guitar Player magazine with Michael Hedges on the cover, and he had a harp guitar.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. So I was like, what is this about? And found every issue with Michael Hedges that were in these boxes. And in one of them, there was a transcription of a tune, The Naked Stalk. And yeah, just an incredible, beautiful tune. And so I still hadn't heard his music really at that point, but I started to try to play this thing, put it in this weird tuning. I think it was DAD, EAB, I think is the tuning for that. But you know, started to try to play it, and I was like, this is incredible. And then one of the issues also had a little record inside. So some of these old Guitar Player magazines, it's called a sound page, and one side was Steve Vai and the other one was Michael Hedges doing Because It's There on the harp guitar.
Oh,
and so
lovely.
I put that on, and that was it. So I ran out to the CD store and got the only one I could find at that time was Taproot, but and then slowly amassed his stuff. And man, you know, he's really, I've got to say, to this day, my biggest kind of influence across everything, all the music I've ever heard in my life. I mean, he could be playing that stuff on a xylophone or something, you know, and it would still, the music itself is so powerful to me. And And the fact that it was on guitar though, and he was doing unusual stuff, that was fascinating too. But he's just so brilliant. It's still hard for me to fathom, him. It was just so incredible. But unfortunately, I discovered his music in 1997, which is when he passed away. But it's been just a constant resource for me for inspiration and how to approach music. I think he was just so sophisticated, but his music was pretty accessible too. It wasn't. You never got the impression anything he did was just for the heck of it,
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing deliberately obtuse, or it's just very, very honest. That was the same reason I love Hedges.
Yeah, it's got like an honesty and a sophistication to it that just was so perfect, and his touch on the strings and everything. So I learned a couple of his tunes from those magazines, but then there was also a book that he did with a great guy named John Stropes, who he heads the fingerstyle guitar department at the University of Milwaukee in Wisconsin, and they did a book called Rhythm, Sonority, and Silence, and I think they covered about 5 of his tunes in there. And I made a stab at a few of them now and then, and some of them I had learned by ear, but then I would look at these transcripts and be like, oh, I'm doing that part wrong, I'm doing this part wrong. But then at the same time I was like, well, I guess it kind of gives it a new interpretation. So some of them I never really bothered to learn the proper way, but I'd always wanted to learn aerial boundaries too.
Yeah, well, it's like saying I've always wanted to climb Everest.
Right?
It's the one.
It is so tricky, that tune, and I had made a few attempts in the past, and then just like got to this middle part and was like, no, that's the hardest thing by far. But it's like not even visually you wouldn't be able to tell. But he's doing this string stopping stuff. Which I had never really done anything like that, because that's a little more common, I think, in classical guitar. This rest stroke, I think, may be the name for it. So for me, trying to get that with this.
It's those slapped harmonics in that section there that completely changed my life.
Yeah.
Just hearing the way the chord would hang, and then the bass shifts, and you're just like, this sort of tectonic sound. Oh,
yeah,
glorious.
I mean, when you first hear that tune, you can't even, as a guitar player, you can't even picture what is going on.
Yeah.
It's so like even just this thing. Like what is that? Tink. It's like
he's a ticky bit.
So he's just constantly doing that, but you have to consciously mute when you need to mute the string.
That's part of the composition.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound right without it.
Yeah, if you just sit there, you just got that, but then use your fingers to mute. So you're like, I remember the first time I heard it, just having no idea what was going on, and that was such an incredible feeling because. After you've been playing guitar for a decade or whatever, you feel like, oh, okay, yeah. When you hear something, you're like, oh, okay, he's playing this scale, blah, blah, blah. Mm. But when you just hear something, it's like, I have no idea what's going on. It just is such an amazing feeling. Mm. So, yeah, Aerial Boundaries did that for me when I've got that album, after hearing Taproot and everything and loving that and then putting on Aerial Boundaries, it was just like... earth-shattering and I thought I had some at that point I'd had some technique from Preston Reed and stuff, and I thought I had maybe an idea of fingerstyle, some new stuff, but I tried to learn that by listening to it. I always had a pretty good ear, so I thought I'll try to learn it, and it's just I just could not even begin. So I had to get that book, the Rhythm, Sonority and Silence book. And it does a real good job, too, of you showing the muting that he does with these sort of pink lines, showing you when to stop the strings from ringing out. So Michael was really conscious about the duration of notes ringing out, because that is something with fingerstyle guitar and using altered tunings. You can kind of have a tendency to let things ring a lot because it gives this big sound and multiple guitar kind of thing. But it's really interesting, too, when you're really conscious about how long each note's ringing out and how you can make the dynamics work to bring out the melody or whatever. So
no, it's been a real pleasure for me, Andy, hearing your instruments completely unplugged. I've heard you countless times in concert, but to get the full acoustic experience from this proximity is it's intoxicating. I can highly recommend it, people. You should do this at gigs.
Yeah. That's something John Gong does. He pulled me out into the audience a couple times on this tour we just finished up because we had a couple shows together.
Right.
So he exposed me to that thing. It's kind of cool. Yeah, get into the audience. Like, boom.
There's something very special about it, and obviously there's something very special about all the instruments that you've been playing recently, made by a friend of this channel, the wonderful Mr. Michael Greenfield. Hello, Mike. This, as I understand it, is your signature model.
Yes,
Talk us
indeed.
through it.
Well, so I'll go back to when I first met Michael. It was in 2004 at this Canadian Guitar Festival that was brand new, and I had competed in this international fingerstyle guitar championship thing a couple of times and had gotten third place once, and then didn't place the next time. But then I heard this. I know it was rigged. It was rigged.
Who were the judges that day?
That's right. I need to find out. But no, actually, yeah, always tons of great players down there. And so it was. But, I heard about this new Canadian Guitar Festival, and there was going to be a competition there.
Right.
And so, I was still trying to get my name out and thought, well, we could try that out. And then I also saw that Don Ross was going to be performing, and he's another one of my, biggest influences. So I was like, I could fly up there and meet Don Ross, hopefully, and try this competition out. So anyway, I went up 2004, and Michael Greenfield had guitars on display at the festival. So I saw those, and I think at that time, I was playing on a company out of China, but because I had toured in Taiwan a couple of times, and they built me this guitar, and it was okay and everything. But man, seeing these Greenfields and trying it, I was just so blown away. I couldn't believe it. But did the competition. I think I got second place that year.
Nice.
And yes, indeed, and put that on the website.
Yeah. Are you going to go back?
Yeah, right.
I reckon you could swing it this time. Right?
See, but if I didn't, that would be like career suicide.
I know for a fact that there are lots of Greenfield owners that are subscribed to my channel, people who really love Michael's instruments.
Yeah.
For those who haven't had the opportunity to try one of Michael's guitars, what is it about the Greenfield sound and the way that they feel that does it for you?
It just, I don't know, it's been so many years now that I've been working with him, it just really feels like home at this point. But the bracing, is the way he's set it up to endure the kind of playing that I do.
Of course, yeah.
And the pitch, it holds, throughout the night, doing a show. And then the fanned fret thing was something that I wanted to do with him, and so that helps the intonation and throughout the whole neck. And I've always liked the jumbo kind of body size,
right.
so that's what we've got here. And Macassar ebony back and sides, and the bevels, are a nice touch here. So you've got one here and one there as well. So if you're playing for hours, it's not cutting into your body at a sharp angle. And man, yeah, just everything about it. I don't know, man. It's just it's home to me now, and I feel a little bit weird playing other guitars almost, And we've been, together now, I guess, since about 2010, working together, and it's just been great. I've got about 3 or 4 of these now, and I've got 2 baritones, and I've even got a harp guitar that Michael built. I had to...
Beautiful thing, yes.
Yeah, I had to twist his arm a bit to get him to make a harp guitar. It's like, I could really use a quality harp guitar, and so Michael was kind enough to build one for me, and it's incredible. So, these instruments, but they just sound great,
One thing that I'm noticing, actually, because, as I say, it's a privilege to be this close to you when you do that. I hadn't appreciated the intensity of the strikes on the rim of the body. I'd assumed that was a sort of a gentle tap that would be picked up by an internal mic. But that's almost a flamenco clap. I mean, you're going in with a curved hand as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So, I first started out playing in coffee shops and, little bars and things back home. So, and I didn't have a real great pickup system on the guitar I had at the time, all that. So trying to get those percussive elements to really pop, that's what led to that, I guess. And so I'm fortunate that Michael braces these really well for the kind of percussive things I do.
Sort of punishment that they're going to... going to enjoy from you. Let's get really nerdy for a moment. Sure. I noticed that you have short nails.
Indeed.
But you also have, I don't know how you get this through customs, this man is wearing an artificial thumbnail.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on there?
All right. So, really, actually, the reason I'm wearing that is because my nail broke two or three nights ago. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Do you need a buffer? I can get you one.
Yeah. Man, so, it's like I keep these fake nails in the suitcase just in case that happens. And so normally I don't wear one. Normally I've got a little bit of a longer thumbnail. And then, it busted out. So I had to put that on. But, I keep these short, for the tapping stuff. So I have, again, my cousin that was really into guitar and stuff and showing me things. He was really into Van Halen. So he showed me how to play Eruption and, some Hot for Teacher and all that, doing some tapping on the fretboard. So I always had this really kind of 90-degree angle against the fretboard. So when I got into fingerstyle, I heard, some people grow their nails out, and tried it, but for the tapping stuff, it was suddenly too much trouble. So I keep these short and keep this one a bit long just to get more attack in the bass and some of those strums too. So I'm going to do strumming, go down and up, use the thumbnail to go up and then down with the backs of the nails like that. And so that's what that is. And then, just because I broke the nail, I've got the fake one on.
So that is the acoustic source material. When we want to amplify that, to bring you to a loving and open audience like the one you had last night. What's that process? How do we do that?
Yes. Okay. So, originally, like I said, when I was playing these coffee shop gigs and things, had a pretty rough acoustic sound. I really didn't know much about it, and I think I had bought some sort of pickup that would go in the sound hole. It was like a little tube-looking thing, but it didn't sound good, and so...
You surprised me.
Yeah, really.
It sounds sensational.
Little tube-looking pickup in me. But, I still remember going... Actually, it was that Canadian Guitar Festival. Also, another player at that festival was Tony McManus.
Oh.
Yeah. So I heard his set. Of course, he's incredible. I'd heard of him before, but seeing him play and hearing him live was really incredible. And so I said, man, what pickup system do you have in there? And he said it was the K&K Pure Mini. And I was like, man, that's really got a nice natural kind of acoustic sound. And, you don't have to sit in front of a microphone on stage,
Right.
So I've been using that ever since, the K&K Pure Mini. I have 2 of those in the harp guitar, and there's one in the baritone as well. For a while, I had the system with the microphone, but I would occasionally get feedback issues on stage, and
Right.
I thought I'd try it without it, and still liked the sound a lot, so I just went without the microphone and just have that in there.
Beautiful.
And one thing that's great about that is for this style is it picks up all this percussion.
It does, doesn't it? It gets
Yeah.
everything. I mean, I've got
Yeah.
exactly the same in all my guitars. And
Yeah.
what I love about it is it's completely passive. There's no batteries.
Yeah.
I had a horror of a 9-volt battery on a plane going, falling out of its little sort of protective pocket and just mincing the bracing of the guitar, and just thinking,
no.
that's just not worth it, is it? So
Yeah.
it really is a wonderful system. And you are now plugging into some sort of foot thing. Came as a bit of a shock.
Turn to the dark side, yeah, a bit. Well, I used to always just go directly into my preamp, which was the Guitar Solstice.
Right.
I used that forever. But just in the last year, I got a foot effects unit, foot switch, the Quad Cortex from Neural DSP.
Very popular.
Indeed, yeah.
It's what the cool kids are using.
Yeah, gotta be cool, man.
Yeah.
It's trying to stay trendy, but actually, really, one of the great things for me is I also have this trio project with
Triplicity.
Yeah, Callum Graham and Trevor Gordon Hall, Triplicity, and so on a couple of those tunes, I play electric guitar, and so the Quad Cortex is great for that because you just plug in it electric and go, and then switch the settings to a more acoustic thing that I have. And I really don't get too crazy with it. It's mostly reverb and a bit of EQ. On one or two songs, I put on an octave thing just for fun. But, I don't think you'll see me doing whammy pedal stuff or anything. Woo!
That's a shame.
Yeah, well, I just say I don't think. But maybe.
As soon as you get back home, try it.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah. If it's like the original whammy where it gets kind of granular when you go up to octaves, that could be a lot of fun. If it's too clean and it's actually a really sort of lovely digital thing, then no, just swerve it. But if it's really grungy and horrible, do that thing.
Maybe sound like Cher a bit or something.
It wasn't my first thought. But
I'm getting wild.
Fuck it, whatever you want. In the process of becoming and being Andy Mckee, you have travelled the world. You have played to countless people on countless stages. And you're human, despite what we've seen today. Being an empathetic kind of guy, I imagine that there may be days where you are tired or jet-lagged or it feels like it may not be happening. But I've never seen you play with anything other than complete commitment and passion. Do you feel sensitive to the world around you when you're about to play? Do you need a particular mindset in order to deliver what you do?
Well, I think for me, the music part, when I'm playing the music, it seems like I'm in another world almost. I could be anywhere. All I'm doing is really listening to the music. Mm-hmm. But then when it gets tricky for me is kind of in between the songs. If I'm feeling tired or nervous or something, that part of the show can make me feel weird. Like if I'm just trying to, because one of the things about my style is all these different tunings, and so I've got to tune in between, and maybe you feel like you need to say something, or or maybe you don't feel like saying anything, so you just kind of tune. But then there can be this big pause, and you're like, well, what's everybody thinking? Is this weird? Am I taking too long?
It's funny because I noticed that last night. So one of the reasons that I went DADGAD exclusive in about 2001 was I had been writing a lot of different stuff for different tunings, and I found that my set list was dictated by what tuning I could get to next rather than a sort of natural flow. And I came to the conclusion that I'd actually rather change my trousers on stage than my tuning. I was like, this is it, I'm done. And yet, in the way that sometimes you can enjoy a pause in a conversation with friends and it doesn't feel awkward, I noticed that even when you backed off and sort of tuned to yourself, the audience was there with you. They never felt like there was any sort of break. It was part of the performance. And it felt like from beginning to end, I mean, you played 2 45-minute sets last night, there was a real sense of joy, of expectation in the room, and it didn't seem to matter what you were going through at the time. I mean, a snapped string.
Yeah,
it made everyone go,
oh
my God, have you handled it? All the little things. And I was just watching this going, this is so beautiful. It felt like a real sort of a dialogue almost between you and the audience. They were passive, but at the same time, did it feel like they were giving you something? Because I could feel like a sort of towards the stage.
Yeah, that was a great audience last night in Brighton. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. Because sometimes you do feel like there's not much coming back, and that can mess with you. It's like, are they enjoying this? And you're in the middle of a show. You're asking yourself if people are enjoying this, and you're like, oh my.
Well, they're still there.
They're still there. They haven't left.
What about in countries where there's a potential language barrier? I mean, you've taught China, Japan, Taiwan.
Yeah. I'll still talk a bit from the stage, but maybe try to slow down, not use my usual speed for talking. But it's okay. Yeah, I think that's one of the advantages of instrumental guitar, and one of the ways it's helped me be able to play all over the world. It's just the music, and I write, the way I write tunes is I try to sort of paint a picture. I do use some of these weird techniques and things, but I want the music to say something or make you feel something, or give you an image, an idea. So I don't want you just to come to a show and be like, wow, impressive guitar playing. There's a million of that, So yeah, if my music has been able to reach people in that way, then that is what I've always wanted to do, So it helps me be able to travel internationally because it's instrumental, I think,
You have done all sorts of exciting stuff over the years. Touring with Prince, with Dream Theater, with your own heroes, playing with Preston, with Don Ross, Billy Mack, all these amazing players. What is there that you haven't done yet that you'd love to?
Man, keep writing better and better tunes. That's all I want to do, and keep inspiring people, and we all have limited time on Earth, so, I feel like I'm really lucky that I've been able to achieve so much that more than I ever even thought, and, meeting my heroes and playing with heroes and influencing people and all of this stuff is, it's just been incredible, and having this opportunity. I just want to keep, playing live and sharing this sort of experience, with the way things are going these days with kind of AI music and sort of the gap that people might be starting to feel with, like we're sitting here right now, and you're getting to hear my fingers on the strings, there's really something about that. And whoever the guitar player is, just, getting to be near someone, a musician that's playing music, that they created, or whatever. There's something really special about it, and so I just want to be able to keep doing that and show people what it's like to be in a room with music, that's coming directly and sincerely and all that. So that's all I want to do from here on, I think.
Well, Andy, it's been a massive pleasure. As I said before, I've been looking forward to this for some time. It's so good to see you again.
Yeah,
thank
man.
you for the music. Thank you for doing what you do and the way in which you do it. And thank you to you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay tuned.